Hello! Oh my god! Hello! Welcome to the video. Yay. Roll the intro. What's up, there you go. What's up, thrill seekers? So today I am bringing for you guys my top 10 coasters at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I went there like a couple months ago and it was super fun. If you do want to see that video, check it out. I'll just leave a link right here in the top right corner of your screen. So you can click on that and go see the vlog that I did at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and that was a super fun park to go to for the second time because I had been there once before, but I did get some new credits, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, in this video, I am only highlighting the top 10 coasters. Currently, they have 18 coasters there. They just took out, not Riddler's Revenge, Green Lantern, which was their 4D free spin, wow, coaster that they had, and next year, well, hopefully this year, they are going to be opening West Coast Racers, which is going to be a new Premier Rides launch coaster. So this is just as of when I went, what the rankings were. So yeah, this is kind of from just a couple months ago. But although Green Lantern was closed, so I don't have that credit. Well, not even that, honestly. Anyways, enough with the intro. Let's get into the video, starting it off with number 10. Number 10 is Riddler's Revenge, which is a B&M stand-up coaster. This coaster is pretty fun. It has a super strong layout, and overall it's a pretty smooth ride. The only reason why it is decently low on my list is just because while you're going through the layout, the forces on your legs are enough where your legs kind of hurt, just because all of the blood rushes down to the bottom of your legs, kind of to your feet, which makes your legs hurt a little bit. So that was kind of why it's so low on my list, just because it did have that aspect, which made me more focus on that versus on enjoying the ride, which is definitely a downside of it. But either way, it has a great layout, super forceful, so if you love forceful rides, then for sure this is a ride for you, and overall it's just a very fun coaster. Number 9 is a coaster that is located right next to Riddler's Revenge, and that is Batman the Ride. It is another Batman the Ride clone, so it is a B&M invert, and it's pretty good. Probably one of the worst B&M Batman the Ride clones that I've been on. Just because of the exact same problem that Riddler's Revenge had, and that is because of the forces on the ride, your blood really rushes to your feet and it hurts a little bit. In reality, I think that this Batman the Ride clone is a lot faster than the others. I don't know if it's just me, although I did ask my dad and he said that he felt the exact same thing while riding it, but it just seems like it traverses the course a lot faster than most Batman the Ride clones do, so that's kind of interesting. To me at least. I don't really know what that's about, but it's a thing. So if you do like forceful rides and whippy rides, then this is definitely something that you'll enjoy. I just personally didn't enjoy it too much. That's my dogs barking. But I just didn't enjoy it too much because of, again, the blood rushing to my feet. Dogs, can you please stop barking at the cats? Most likely. Or deer. I don't know, there's a lot of deer here. So, you'll just have to ignore that. But number 8 is Ninja, and this is kind of an interesting spot just because it is a family coaster, and it's, in my opinion, better than some of the thrill coasters that they have. Ninja is a B&M suspended coaster, which means that it does like swing a little bit back and forth, which is pretty cool. Wait, did I see a B&M suspended? I meant Arrow if I said B&M. So, yeah. Dogs, shut up. Anyways, Ninja is super fun. It actually has a pretty intense layout, at least from the other Arrow suspended coasters that I've ridden, which is really just Iron Dragon at Cedar Point. And it's definitely kind of whippy in that it has some fast transitions where you really like swing from one side to the other, which is pretty cool. You can get a great view of West Coast Racers, which again is coming soon, and it might be already open if you're watching this in the future. But anyways, yeah, that's Ninja. It's pretty intense for a family coaster, but it is still a family coaster. So yeah, overall, pretty good. I would recommend riding it. Number 7 is definitely a big jump from Ninja, and that is Superman Escape from Krypton. Superman is a super fast launch coaster. I have no idea who made it, to be completely honest. I'll put it somewhere, like I'll put it right here, like who made it. But it is a super fast launch coaster made by this person, or this company, and it is actually, from my knowledge, the first coaster to go 100 miles an hour, which is pretty cool. It starts off with a backwards launch out of the station, and it gradually gets up to 100. That's something that I don't like about this coaster, is just how forceless it is. It is insanely forceless. It's just really very gradual as it launches backwards. And then the spike is, I think, it's 415 feet tall, but most likely it'll go anywhere from like 350-ish, like around 300, like mid 300s, basically, in terms of how high it actually goes on it. But it really depends on the weight of the car, the weather, how fast they're launching it, because sometimes they'll turn down or turn up the launch. And, all of that kind of stuff. So it really depends. But the height of it, you can't really tell. Wow. You can't really tell when you're on the ride how high you are, which is another downfall of this coaster, is just because it looks really tall when you're not on the ride, but when you're on the ride, it actually looks decently short, which is kind of interesting. But it's still fun. Still definitely, of course, in the top 10 coasters at the park. And yeah, I mean, it's a fun ride, and definitely I will do it again. But it's not like super spectacular. Number 6 is a B&M floorless coaster, and that is Scream. This is the infamous parking lot coaster. Everybody makes fun of this coaster because of the setting of it. It's located right on the parking lot. Literally, like, it is built on top of spaces in the parking lot, which is kind of interesting, but it is what it is. Six Flags is cheap, so they just kind of plopped it on a patch of concrete. And overall, you can't really tell when you're on the ride that it is on a slab of concrete, and it really doesn't hinder the ride too much, other than there's not really anything around you, which kind of takes away from like the scenery of it, I guess. If it was located somewhere where there were trees around, or even just grass around, then it might add some sort of like cool setting to it, but it's not. And honestly, that's okay because the ride experience does make up for it. I think it's a decently high tier B&M floor list, at least from what I've ridden. Wow. It has a pretty good layout overall, and just like it's decently smooth. It definitely has a noticeable B&M rattle to it, but it's not anything bad. I didn't bang my head once during the ride, which is super cool. And I definitely did enjoy the ride a lot. It was a super fun ride, super great. I would definitely recommend going on it. If you're at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and yeah, it's kind of located in the Scream Punk area, kind of near Twisted Colossus. And if you're riding Twisted Colossus, might as well hop onto Scream. So it's a good coaster. I think it's a clone of Bizarro or like a mirror image or something, but it's still a great ride. Everybody loves Bizarro and everybody hates on this coaster, and I don't really get why. But yeah, that's Scream. Number 5 is Goliath. It is a Gianvanola hypercoaster, and it's honestly pretty decent. I personally enjoy myself on this coaster. It's just overall pretty fun. I know it's definitely not as good as Titan, for sure. Nowhere near as good as Titan. But it is still definitely a very good coaster. I would probably ride it at least once every time I go to Magic Mountain, just because it's definitely an iconic coaster for the park, and definitely like a unique coaster, at least for the park. And overall, it has a decently okay layout. It doesn't have very much airtime other than the airtime hill after the first turnaround. Also, the first drop gives you just a tiny bit of airtime, at least if you're sitting in the back. And it gives a pretty decent night ride. Like, it's a pretty decent coaster. I would say, like, it's a good coaster. So that's why it's this high on the list. But yeah, it's nothing spectacular, but it's just a pretty good coaster. Now for the top 4, and really the top 3 is like huge, but the top 4 is like pretty main coasters. Starting it off with Full Throttle, which is a Premier Rides launch coaster, and it is a pretty good coaster. The launch is decently forceful. You get amazing hang time on that loop. The second launch, like the backwards launch, and everything is super fun. And actually even more forceful than the first launch, in my opinion. And the airtime hill that kind of goes over the loop doesn't really do much. And you do like slam your gut into the restraints on the brakes that are on the drop, which kind of sucks. But overall, it's a short but sweet coaster. It's definitely a really fun ride, and a really good coaster. I would say that I'm definitely going to get at least a couple rides in on it every time I go to Six Flags Magic Mountain, which I pretty much go to every year just because I have a hip-hop convention in LA, so I always go to LA like pretty much every year anyways, so I will be going to Six Flags Magic Mountain like every year, and this is definitely one of the coasters that I will ride probably more than once. And now getting into the big top 3. The big top 3, starting it off with number 3, is X2. X2 is a super awesome ride, super insanely unique, especially to the US. There's nothing even kind of close to it in the US, and it is the last Aero project, at least from my knowledge. So it's definitely like a kind of a historic attraction. And it's a pretty good ride, borderline great. It's like good, borderline great. And yeah, I enjoy myself a lot on this coaster. Wasn't able to ride it last time I was at Six Flags Magic Mountain, but I did before and waited 3 hours for it, which wasn't worth it, but it was still definitely a super fun ride. I get why the GP are like gawking over this coaster. Honestly, it's a pretty fun ride, and definitely a crazy ride. I've really been looking at this coaster since I was super little, and been like, whoa, that's so cool. So getting to ride it was super, super fun and super, super awesome. So yeah, X2, super great ride, and definitely deserving to be a pretty like top coaster. Now at the number 2 spot is Tatsu, which is a B&M flying coaster, and overall it's a super, super fun ride. Definitely a forceful ride, especially in the pretzel loop. The pretzel loop is insanely forceful, which is super, super awesome. I like forceful rides, not as much as airtime filled rides, but I still do like forceful rides. So the pretzel loop definitely does a lot for me, and especially my dad. He loves forceful rides. So yeah, the pretzel loop is definitely probably one of his favorite elements ever. And it's definitely one of mine as well. The pretzel loop is just super fun, but the rest of the ride is super fun too. Being in the flying position is definitely pretty intimidating, especially as you're going up the lift hill, just because you're looking down and it's pretty high up. So when you're looking down, it's decently scary, especially for someone who's afraid of heights like me. So yeah, just going up the lift hill is pretty intimidating. Although my fear of heights pretty much deplenishes whenever I like go over a first drop of the coaster, or the first turn or anything. And that's definitely the case with Tatsu. Once I'm like actually going through the ride, I don't even think about the height. I just think about like actually the ride experience. And definitely the ride experience is super fun. It's a pretty like mid-long, like it's not super long, but it's like a good length, like a pretty medium length coaster, and it's super pretty. Like when you're walking into the park and you kind of just see it swooping around, that's definitely intimidates you, but it's definitely pretty cool to see. And finally, for the number 1 coaster at the park, and a coaster that is in my top 10 coasters that I have ridden, and that is the RMC Twisted Colossus. Twisted Colossus is super, super, super fun, especially when you get a dual. The first time that I rode it, or the first time that I went to Six Flags Magic Mountain, I was unfortunate enough to not get a dual, but when I went back, I did get one, and for sure, everyone who says it's way better with the dual is 100% telling the truth. Just because, especially when I was going, they were only running 2 trains, so it was kind of rare to get a dual, but it was pretty fun when you actually got one. Like just getting in line over and over again and trying to get a dual is super cool, especially like once you actually get one. And even without a dual, it's still a super fun ride. The drop gives an insane amount of kind of like flowjector airtime. And the 0G stall is probably one of my favorite inversions, probably after the pretzel loop, but it is still amazing. And the dueling aspect, again, is great. The airtime, like on all RMCs, is super awesome. And I feel like you kind of go over the hills a little bit slower. So it still is like ejector, but it's kind of reduced ejector, which I like because I don't like insanely strong ejector airtime. For example, Twisted Timbers, like the second half has insanely insanely forceful ejector airtime, and I don't really like it. But on Twisted Colossus, it's still ejector airtime, so all of you ejector lovers, like, it's still ejector airtime, but it's just a little bit reduced so it doesn't crush your thighs, which is always fun. So yeah, great airtime, great inversions, overall a super awesome coaster. And that really ends it for my list of the top 10 roller coasters at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Definitely comment below on what you think of my list. Check out my Park Vlogs playlist. I'm going to plop it right there, and check out the ranking video that I did at Knott's Berry Farm, which in my opinion has better coasters, or better coasters, and is a better park. So yeah, go check out my ranking and vlog of of Knott's Berry Farm. I'll put the ranking up there, and if you want to see the vlog, just click the Parks Vlogs playlist, which already was up there. So yeah, that's my video for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the thumbs up button, and I will see you guys all next time. Peace out.